So, good morning, students. In last lecture, what we have studied? We have studied the chemical, physical. Oh, sorry. What we have studied? We have studied physical properties, and in physical properties, we have studied three major properties: density, moisture content, and size distribution. Okay. In this lecture, we will study other physical properties of solid waste. So, one by one, we start to study. First is optical property. What is this? Optical property can be used to separate opaque materials from transparent substance which majorly contains glass and plastic. Second is shape. Shape can be used for segregation as flaky substance will behave differentially compared to non-flaky substance. Basically, shape, we know shape means flaky, rounded, triangular. So shape can be used. Why we are using shape as other properties? So shape can be used for segregation. Segregation means separation. Here we have studied in building materials separation of water from cement, separation of water from concrete. Basically, the shape can be used for segregation as flaky substance will behave differentially compared to non-flaky substance. Flaky and non-flaky substance are the shape. Okay. After that, magnetic separators are designed based on the magnetic characteristics of the waste. So magnetic separators you can see here in the next slide. Here the magnetic separation is, you can see. So I can show you how it is working. This is magnetic, this is powder form of any ore. This is magnet, kind of magnet. This is conveyor belt. This is your magnetic. Basically what we are seeing here and what is shown in this diagram, we are putting powder over here. From this side it is going to this side. So this is magnet, this side. So magnetic stuff will be here. This is non-magnetic stuff because this is not magnet, and magnetic stuff will be here because this is magnet. So this is magnetic separation, and this is very conveyor belt. From this belt, the powder ore is going from one side to other side. This is a very simple thing you can see here, and you have studied this thing in your earlier classes. So example of magnetic separation. After that, filled capacity. What is filled capacity? That the filled capacity of waste is the total amount of moisture which can be retained in a waste sample subjected to a gravitational pull. So if we talk about filled capacity, if you talk about general example of filled capacity, if you talk about capacity, what is capacity? So capacity means, if you talk about a general life example, or if you take a general life example, suppose a person who take 4 chapatis in his lunch, and if we are giving on some day we are giving 2 chapatis to that particular one day. Second day we are giving 4 chapatis to that one, and on third day we are giving 8 chapatis to that particular one person. So on first day when we have given first 2 chapatis, on that particular day he will feel sickness. He feels sickness. On second day he will not feel sickness. He will feel healthy because he is taking 4 chapatis and his capacity of taking chapatis are 4. After that, on third day he is taking, or we are giving 8 chapatis to them, and we are forcing to him that please take 8 chapatis. So what happen? He will feel undigestion in his stomach, or you can say undigestion will take place, or he will feel more sick because he is taking more chapatis compared than his capacity. In the same way, if you talk about capacity, filled capacity, in case of soil you have studied in water resource or irrigation. If we talk about root, so a particular crop can keep a particular moisture content, because if we are giving more and more moisture, or if we are giving more and more water, then what happen? That particular moisture content, or beyond particular moisture content, will destroy that particular crop. In the same way, the filled capacity of waste is total amount of moisture which can be retained in a waste sample subjected to gravitational pull. So basically, the value of moisture content in the waste is known as filled capacity of waste. It is used to determine the formation of leachate in landfills. In last unit I have told about the leachate basically. So what filled capacity do? So it is used to determine the formation of leachate in landfills. It is a critical measure because excess water in filled capacity will form leachate. I already told you. And for human beings, if we are taking more stuff than our capacity, then we will feel indigestion in our stomach. In the same way, if we are giving more water, more moisture to solid waste, then it will feel leachate. Okay. So we go to next slide. Is example of soil saturation. 3 cases in front of you. First is what? First is soil saturation, second is field capacity, and third is permanent wilting point. I already told you what is permanent wilting point. Permanent wilting point I told you in the case of irrigation. Okay. If you not remember, then I can tell you here. See, suppose this x-axis, this is y-axis. Fine. This is our field capacity. This is our field capacity. We call this thing. After that, this is a optimum moisture content. This is OMC. This is optimum moisture content, and after again C. Again. So we are talking about diagram of field capacity. You can see here. This is our x-axis. This is our y-axis. This is field capacity, basically field capacity. This is OMC. And this is what? PWP, permanent wilting point. We have studied these things in your earlier semesters in a water resource or in irrigation. Okay, here y-axis field capacity. So first is lipids. So I told you in the last slide, these are the chemical properties, and what chemical properties include? These are lipids, carbohydrates, proteins, natural fibers, synthetic organic material, non-compressible, heating value, ultimate analysis, proximate analysis. So first of all, we will talk about lipids. What is lipid? This class of compounds include fats, oils, grease, and the principal sources of lipids are garbage, cooking oils, and fats. So basically, we all know what is carbohydrate, lipids, and all. After that, lipids have high heating value. So what is that value? That value is 38,000 kilojoule per kilogram, which makes them suitable for energy recovery. After that, since lipids become liquid at temperature slightly above ambient, they add to the liquid content during water waste decomposition. Fine. So, though they are biodegradable, the rate of biodegradation is relatively slow because lipids have a low solubility in water. Because they are biodegradable, and the rate of biodegradation is relatively slow because lipids have a very low solubility in water. After that, carbohydrates. So we have studied in earlier classes what is carbohydrate, like starch, cellulose. These are found primarily in food and yard wastage. Yard wastage, green wastage basically, which encompass sugar, which contain sugar and polymer of sugars. Carbohydrates are readily biodegraded to products such as carbon dioxide, water, and methane. Decomposing carbohydrates attract flies. When we decompose carbohydrates, then it attracts flies, rats. They therefore should not be left exposed for longer duration. So if we are decomposing carbohydrates, then it attracts flies and rats. So we cannot keep those for longer duration. Fine. So next is proteins. Everybody says you should take protein. You should take protein. If you want to keep your body healthy, then you should take protein. So these are the compounds contains carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen, and consist of an organic acid with a substituted amine group NH2. Amines we have studied NH3 and all. They are mainly found in food and garden waste. Basic proteins are found in food, basically fibers. The partial composition of these compounds can result in the production of amines that have unpleasant odors. So if we decompose proteins in partially, then what it will give? It will give unpleasant odors in the form of amines. After that, natural fibers. Natural fibers, these are found in proper products, food and yard wastage that are resistant to biodegradation. They are a highly compressible solid waste having a high proportion of paper and wood products, they are suitable for incineration. So basically natural fibers are suitable for incineration, burning in the presence of oxygen. The heating value, an evaluation of potential of waste as a fuel for incineration requires a determination of its heating value expressed as kilojoules per kilogram. There are the units of heating value kilojoule per kilogram. After that, heating value is determined experimentally using the Bohm calorimeter. This is a very important question asked in exams. That what is heating value is determined experimentally from which test, that is Bohm calorimeter, in which the waste of a specified quantity is heated at constant temperature of 25 degrees centigrade. This is again a good question. Examiner can ask in Bohm calorie test what is the temperature. So the constant temperature is 25 degrees centigrade. After that, synthetic organic materials, basically plastics. They are highly resistant to biodegradation and therefore are objectionable and to spatial concern in solid waste management. We also know that plastics are totally non-biodegradable, and when we burn plastics, you can say they pollute our environment, they pollute our surrounding. So that is not acceptable, always objectionable, and special concern in solid waste management. In today's scenario particularly, plastics have a high heating value, about 32,000 kilojoule per kg, which make them very suitable for incineration. After that, but polyvinyl chloride (PVC) when burned produces dioxin and acid gases. This increases corrosion in the combustion system and is responsible for acid rain. So for acid rain, we can say PVC is an agent which is responsible for acid rain. It increases corrosion, and it also increases corrosion where in the combustion system. Okay. After that, we have studied physical characteristics, chemical characteristics. Now a point belongs to biological properties. So what biological properties includes? It includes biodegradability of organic waste, odors, breeding of flies. So here in solid waste disposal, order is coming in biological properties. Fine. Biodegradability of organic waste components. When we talk about biodegradable, then we talk about volatile solids, non-volatile solids. So volatile solids content determined by ignition at 550 degrees centigrade is often used as a measure of the biodegradability of the organic components. The use of volatile solid in describing the biodegradability of the organic components is misleading, as some of the organic constituents are highly volatile but low in biodegradability. Next is, alternatively, the lignin content of a waste can be used to estimate the biodegradable fraction. So if we want to calculate the biodegradable fraction, then the formula is given in front of you: 0.83 minus 0.028 LC. What is LC here? LC is lignin content. Wastes with high lignin contents are significantly less biodegradable. So if waste contain very high lignin content, then they are very less biodegradable. So this was the last slide of this lecture. So what we have studied basically chemical characteristics, biological characteristics. So these are the theory part. So you have to learn this theory part. In your semester exam, this theory part will take place. But sometimes in objective they can ask about the heating values like lipid heating values and carbohydrate heating values. They can ask last product. They can ask find the soil saturation, field capacity, PWP. We have studied in this lecture. Field capacity. So basically, in today's scenario, solid waste management is very important. You can see government are very concerned for the solid waste management. Government is very concerned for tertiary treatment, primary treatment, and secondary treatment are very common things in sewage treatment plants. But for tertiary treatment plant, government is concerned. For solid waste management, government is very concerned because in India, people are not so aware that even they don't keep a dustbin in their houses. So it is very important. You can say this is a request or advice from my side that if a person is living or a community or a family is living at a particular place, so they can keep a particular 2 dustbins, first for wet waste and second for dry waste. You should separate wet waste and dry waste, and when a trolley or when other proper dustbin which is in local area, which is situated in your local area, so you should separate the two stuffs, and then after that, after separating the stuff, you should keep waste, or you should throw those wastes in that particular proper local area dustbin. Okay, so meet you in next lecture. Till then, stay happy, stay home. Bye bye, take care.